New video here, the first build guide more or less. I threw in some scuffed gear, and the main idea is using Arns Anguish, and I use a Slayer for this masterful form ascendancy, so I get my frenzy charges as endurance charges. And another idea, if I was richer, was if I add Badge of the Brotherhood and then some spells or something with Peacock, Power Charge and Crit. And later on I want a Frenzy chest with Frenzy Charge and Hit. But for now it's really cheap gear. From leveling I use a Gold Rim, I use a Chin Soul, 5 link for like 2C. This one was a lucky craft. Yeah, I rolled for attack mods and hit that. The melee strike range doesn't do anything for me, but I wanted a frenzy charge and the accuracy is fine as well, and some rest, which works out okay. Some gear I found in my dump tabs. Isn't really that good, but it's cool. These boots are very cheap, the Dark Ray Vectors, for the 1 frenzy charge, and just a black gleam because I didn't have any other quivers at the time. And the Exhaust Blood, which costed me like 1x. And the belt, I bought it at 45C, but in the meantime I had some other obligations and had to write an academic paper, and that's why I didn't play it, and now it's like 5C. I got like no good flasks, just jewels. That one was kinda okay and good, with Corrupting Blood and Life. And another Ele Hit. And this one is the bread and butter. This one is the most important jewel. And ideally it's 2 passive skills, but I was poor at the time when I bought all of this gear. This is the most important because it's the most reliable source of endurance charges. And earlier I tested with another amulet for the reduced Warcry cooldown. It goes from 8 seconds to 6.15 and increased areas, so it's more reliable for endurance charges, but Exhaust Blood has a lot of DPS, like 30k tooltip and 10k. And I don't have an anointment on it yet, it's just really cheap gear and more proof of concept. I just throw in a cheap map. I get hit and now I'm recharging brutal charges, like recently, then it's 4 charges usually. Can add some Enduring Cry. Bosses give like 4 and regular mobs give 1 mostly. And I'm not at 9 charges. And with the belt, that means 6% more damage per charge, so I'm at 54% increased damage. And I thought about experimenting with some jewels that have the stat increased duration for endurance charges. And I planned on implementing some of these increased endurance charge duration, but I didn't test it yet. I will do that now. I'm just going to rush to the boss to check the DPS. And then we can maybe see the 54% more damage. That one looked like there were 2 hits that were charged by the increased percentage. And I forgot to use the sniper, but kinda okay for a shitty bow. And then I'm showing you the Endgame version, which I stole at the time from somebody else on PoE Ninja. And that dude had super good gear. He had a +3 bow and +2 additional arrows, crit multi and fire pen. And this was the base tree he used. And he used a Lioness Fall. He has less HP with 4.7k and 19 million DPS. And in the version that I plan on doing at the endgame, it has 6k HP and only 12 million DPS. And I emulated this flask for the belt with 10 endurance charges. And if we compare his build, it has 12 million like this and 4.5k HP. And if I check this flask, he would have 19 million DPS and 4.7k HP. And if we go with my tankier version, then it will be 12 million like he had before, but with 6k HP. And I don't have a cluster yet, I just have the one node for the endurance charges. That was the showcase more or less. I need a lot of more upgrades. My gems aren't qualityed up. And I don't have a good weapon. And just using a 5-link single target. This was mainly just the idea about using this belt, and I hope you enjoyed it and think of a better version than me. And I used Ele Hit because it was, back at the time, it had the highest DPS for Slayer builds, and the Slayer was kind of important because of this node, because of the 10 frenzy charges and 10 endurance charges. It gives 40% more from the frenzies and 60% more from the endurance charges, because of the 3% to deal triple damage, and double damage is 100% more damage, so 3% times 100 is 3% more damage, but triple is actually 2 times, so it's actually 3 times 2 times all of the endurance charges, and we currently have 9, in the endgame we have 10 ideally, with a good corrupt on the gloves, and then we get 6% more from this build, and it takes 3 and then 2 more passives, so it's a 5 passive node for the endurance charges, but it kind of gets crippled by acrobatics and phase acrobatics because we get hit less often, and therefore the endurance charge regeneration after the hit doesn't occur that often, and we have to rely more on the enduring cry. Also about the endurance charge duration, right now with just one node I can't really tell the difference if it's really increased. And some of the next videos will be about another flipping table, and in the first video that I uploaded it was chaos to other currency and then to exalted orbs and then back ideally, and this one will be the chaos to other currency and then the other currency back to chaos. This is the gift table, and at the start you give chaos, and then later on you give the other currency and get chaos back, and then there's a spread within, and then you see how much profit you make, and in chaos, and I work on this one for the near future, and sometimes the tables are wrong if people misprice items. And another feature that I plan is a correlation matrix or just different profits, and this table is from one of my stock videos, and I just hit the stock names and it would look something like this, and there are many different currencies. I use currency.poe.trade. I use the main currencies, but I will add some futures for all of the other fragments and maybe orbs, delirium orbs, and we have around 800 or 900 different currencies with diff cards and whatever. And I compare, for example, the Orb of Alteration to Orb of Fusing, to Orb of Alchemy, to Orb of Chaos exchange rates, and that for ideally all of the currencies that we have, to find an edge in the market. And I want to sort it like this matrix to find out where all of the profits can be found. And another idea I had was, for example, flipping essences. We can see how much chaos it costs for different essences, and this is the buy, and this is the sell side, where you sell the essences that you just bought for chaos, and I have to figure that out still, and this will be the next few videos, probably. Thanks for watching, and until next time. Bye bye.